The hills are alive with the sound of V6 turbocharged engines. It's the Austrian Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring. It's round 11 of the 2022 season. Checker flag on Sunday will take us to halfway in this 2022 season as well. After this, it's France and Hungary to lead us into the summer break before a triple header in the Belgium, Netherlands and Italy to complete the European season. Singapore and Japan are back-to-back for the flyaways before we head over to the Americas with the United States, Mexico back-to-back, a 2-week break before the last 2 races, Sao Paulo in Brazil, and a week later in Abu Dhabi for the season finale. After 10 races, Max Verstappen leads the championship by 34 points to Sergio Perez, 181 to 147. Charles Leclerc still remains in third position, now just ahead of Carlos Sainz after victory he had at the British Grand Prix. George Russell is still ahead of Lewis Hamilton, still 88 points back. Lando Norris is in 7th, Valtteri Bottas, Esteban Ocon and Fernando Alonso round out the top 10. On the second page, it's Pierre Gasly on the same amount of points as Kevin Magnussen. Same amount of points as well for Sebastian Vettel and Daniel Ricciardo, 15 apiece. Yuki Tsunoda has the biggest advantage of the gap behind them as well. Zhou Guanyu on 5. Mick Schumacher finally on the points board as well. He has 4 after a brilliant 8th position at Silverstone. Alexander Albon with 3 points, the same as Lance Stroll. Nicholas Latifi still pointless in this season. He's alongside Nico Hülkenberg in 21st. In the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull lead the way by 63 points to Ferrari. Then Mercedes are 124 points back on 204. Further back on 255 points back is McLaren, who's in a battle with Alpine as well, closely followed by Alfa Romeo. AlphaTauri had let themselves slip in the last few races. It's free practice 2 here on Saturday morning for the Austrian Grand Prix. Let's take a look at the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, Austria. 2.683 mile circuit, 10 corners as well. Many drivers say this is like a kart track. It's short track racing for F1, always providing a thriller race. Get a good exit out of the last corner, open up the DRS and hurtle down towards turn number 1. You're in 8th gear, flat out, drop the gear to around about 5th gear, flick the car in towards the right, get on the power mid-exit as well, open up your DRS for the first time on this lap. Hurtle uphill towards the little kink in the hill, that's turn 2, and then brake hard for turn 3 at Remus, uphill, 3rd gear corner. Tight right as well, it slips you out and sometimes controls the wheel spin again. Open up the DRS, now downhill once again towards turn 4 at Soxless Gold. It's a heavy braking opportunity down 4th gear, have to drop into 3rd occasionally if the rear of the car won't stop. Round turn number 5 as well, this is into Pirelli, flinging into turn 7 and 8, coming through as well, back on the accelerator, use as much exit curve as well, late dart into the Burch curve at turn 7, round up the hill at turn 8, 9 and 10 next up as well, 8th gear over the crest as well, drop it down 2 gears into the Ridge corner at turn 9, into the Red Bull Mobile, which is the last corner as well, back on the accelerator up towards turn 1 at Lauda, and that is a lap of the Red Bull Ring here in Spielberg, a flat out track. It's the 2022 Rolex Austrian Grand Prix, and at the moment we're not even on, so apologies if you can't hear us or can hear us. Welcome along to qualifying afterwards, because this is now going to be a very dull session. It's practice 2 ahead of the F1 sprint coming up later on today, and everybody's anticipating a 95% lag. We're having some technical problems, we'll be back in a few moments. Hello everybody and welcome to the 2022 Austrian Grand Prix for the second practice session. Let's hope that's changed something, it probably hasn't. Alongside me in the commentary box is Josh Plays and Synthal, as well as we just have to work through these internet difficulties at the current moment as well. At least it's a bit better, but it's not doing all too bad out here as well. So the first session is about to get underway as well. Guys, welcome. Synthal, first to you. We are in for a very entertaining session. Not. It's going to be incredibly boring.
Yeah, well, they obviously can't really change a lot anymore on the car because it's after qualifying and the park firmware rules and stuff. So, yeah, it's mostly going to be long runs, I suppose.
And Josh as well. We saw... Oh, 2 seconds, Ted.
To market, Rachel, let me say welcome to the pit lane first of all, and yes, we're going to have looking forward to a good day here at the Red Bull Ring. We have a little race coming up later this afternoon, so join us for that. But we have the second practice session on a Saturday morning here, with which we were going to have 20 cars, but at the moment it's going to be 18 cars, because getting on to your question in your throw, it's not going to be the 2 Mercedes cars, at least not yet, because there is there's a curfew. So it's give on sprint weekends, because of the fact that once they start the qualifying yesterday, you can't actually change the car's setup, so there's not much point having the mechanics stay late, allowing them to stay late for no reason, and getting them all tired out. Because the curfew is quite strict here. Now, that means that if you're a team who has both cars in the wall in the barrier with big crashes, then it does rather compromise your repair job to those cars. So because Mercedes had all of that, they've had limited time to prepare the cars, they are not going to be ready for this session. They've actually had to swap Lewis Hamilton to the spare chassis owing to the damage on the right-hand side of the car from his crash. So they've also had to swap the gearboxes out from both cars, Russell's and Hamilton's cars, from other ones in the pool. So there's no 5-place penalty for a gearbox because they haven't exceeded their number that they're allowed so far, so no penalties for that. The engines, the power units, the team say have been thoroughly checked, so there's nothing replaced on there. They're okay, but they're not ready and won't be ready for another 10, 20, maybe even 30 minutes. So, yeah, such is the consequence that Lewis is in a car that he's never driven before when he does finally get out there for second practice in the sprint race this afternoon. And George is going to be a bit limited on his race running because, Rachel, Johnny, that is effectively what they're doing now, isn't it?
Okay, well, there we go. We're going to have to stay off camera for a while and just have the basic view when the cars head out onto the track, because we are having some technical problems, so we'll stay off camera. You can see the pictures of the track and you can hear us as well. So I suppose at the moment that is the best thing we can do. So then, Josh, as well, talk us through all the technical delegates that were given yesterday, because we have heard it is a big change around, especially for Sergio Perez, who is not going to start from P9 on the grid as he was scheduled to yesterday.
Yeah, the time penalty for Sergio Perez as it's green light, 58 minutes and 40 seconds to go because of a track limits. I believe it was at turn 9.
Yeah, turn 9 through the Burch curve. That's where it was. That's where we heard it as well.
Turn 8, I think.
Turn 8. So that is,
yep,
exit of Burch curve.
And it was a deletion of all lap times in Q3. So instead of being 4th, he's now 13th for the sprint race grid.
And so, Synth, what do you make of that then? Is that fair enough for them as well? Because he did go all 4 ways off the track, but it took so many hours after the fact before we actually got that news that it was going to change over.
So his Q3 lap times and his final Q2 lap time was deleted. That's why he starts from P13 on the grid. But yeah, I think it's really strange that it was a clear track limit, that's for sure. They should have immediately removed his fast lap time, his lap time there. But they didn't. So afterwards, I don't think they should have changed it afterwards. I think they should have just. They can't just do that. I think, right? Because it's so late after qualifying. It's so many things could have changed. Pierre Gasly would have gone through to Q3. Now he can't. And maybe even if Perez would have crashed in Q3, and it would have been for nothing. That would be so yeah, it's such a big mistake from the FIA, and I think they maybe should have just let him get away with it for this time, because I just can't believe they did it so late after.
3.
Yeah, so tailwind in turn 3 we're hearing as well, as the drivers now switch back around. We are having severe problems right now as well. 92% lag. So if you can hear us, well done. But if not, then we have no idea what's causing it. It's fine in practice 3, and now it's all gone wobbly, and we really don't know why. So apologies for that. But the session's still underway here, as we're 15 seconds back. We're going to have to get this sorted because it's too much. So we'll be back soon.
Compared to when it's new power unit. But Daniel Ricciardo, I sense a little bit of a reset today. They know that their opportunity is going to be in the race. I think they are looking also at the red tyre. In fact, when you pick up Daniel Ricciardo, he's just on an outlap at the moment. He is on a brand new fresh set of the soft tyres, Rachel. So maybe that points towards what he's thinking of doing in the sprint race today. But where are they? 15th and 16th on the grid? They've got to do better than this, you know, and they will be. And even though they can't change the car's setup now, what they've got is now baked in, without the exception of maybe a turn of front wing here or there, or a tyre pressure between the two. There's not much they can change on the car. So it really is just a headspace, a head game between Lando and Daniel to do with the tyres, to make sure they get the best of what's been a really subpar weekend so far.
Yeah, it has indeed. Thanks, Ted. For the moment, this is...
Thanks, Ted. You're back with us, and I know we're having a couple of issues, but we know what's causing that issue, and now as well we should be back up to full swing now that...
Sainz lap time 10.7, but he did a mistake.
Well, correction, we were back up and running smoothly. Then Chrome decided to once again be a pain. So stay with us while we try and work out what exactly is happening, because at the moment we can't do anything. Everything's just being frozen by Chrome. It says we're fine, then it says it doesn't. So we've actually got no broadcasting power on the side here for practice 2 while this gets sorted. So we'll put you on with the back. Can Ted Kravitz fix the internet? Hope so. We're going to leave you with Sky while we fix this up.
Ability to, especially under braking here compared to, you know, the other circuits that we go to, Silverstone for example. There are more tricky ones here because the grip's not so high.
Oh, your Skypad earlier was interesting, because looking at the way he used the curb to send him back onto the track and get the grip, and then was it 6 or 7 where he used the extra bit of tarmac that you could see on the runoff? He went wide to use that to propel himself around. You're thinking so much more than just going to hit that apex, or I'm going to...
Yeah, they're all searching for that sort of grip, but when you actually look at what Charles Leclerc did on his lap, he didn't use that sausage curb on the exit of 3, for example. And that's where Max has sort of got this extra little sort of sixth sense, where he's going, right, where can I find an extra little shove out of a corner? And I think that, for me, is something that he'd tried to find. He then got it. Then he knew he had to hit it when it was in qualifying, because that's the only way he's going to get sort of that launch out of 3 down towards 4.
Right. First Mercedes out of the garage, repairs
I
done.
think the flap is
George
like
Russell going out now to
2 to 3
see
turns.
what car he's got for the sprint later on. I mean, impressive improvements from them, and they've needed them, haven't they, Johnny? But I mean, Mr. Consistency, unfortunately, had the incident in Silverstone, didn't finish the race, but ended his fantastic run so far. But he's put in some great performances this season, and the Mercedes does look better around here than it has done at the past few races.
Yeah, well, definitely. Well, again, going to Silverstone, all the porpoising sort of chat that we've had for most of the season, I didn't notice it anywhere near as much, even on the Mercedes, as we had seen before. So again, it just shows that they've got a much better understanding. Yes, there's frustrations of what happened yesterday, but I know within a team, when you have that sort of good feel factor coming back to you, it doesn't matter sometimes when you have a bit of a bad one like they had yesterday, because you know you've moved the car into a better place, the drivers are more happy, and when everybody's more happy, you know you're going to get the best from absolutely everybody in the team. And yes, they've had to work a little bit harder after
and also turn 1, we suggest, like turn 4, take it easier on braking to focus on mid-corner speed. Okay, so we can do nothing about it. Absolutely nothing. So well done to Virgin Media, who are a useless pile of absolute dog. And I honestly can't believe you scam people out of internet as well. So apologies
that we can't bring anything else. But Mercedes, it looks like Synthal are just getting ready. A new floor going on there for George Russell, and neither Russell or Hamilton have headed back out on the track. Hamilton, of course, changing over chassis compared to yesterday as well. So that crash in qualifying has really affected them this weekend as Russell backs into the pits.
Yeah, Russell did one outlap. Maybe they have seen something is still not really right with the car, so they're going to try and change that. New floor here for sure. Is this for Lewis Hamilton, or are they getting
it's Lewis,
for Russell?
Yeah. It's a whole new floor for Lewis Hamilton and a whole new car.
Can we try holding 5th gear between turn 6 and 7? Hold 5th.
And Josh, presumably as well, this would be the spare chassis, not the one from yesterday, if we've heard anything correct from there.
I believe so.
Do you know anything, Synth?
I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. But you're not really allowed to change much, right? After the park Vermeer, right? And could this result into a penalty?
This will result in Lewis starting at the back of the grid, surely, because he would change over completely a brand new car, effectively, coming into this race. So
yeah, I did think I read somewhere that he needed a whole new chassis, but that would definitely result for him into a penalty. It was quite a big hit as well in qualifying, so it didn't really. Obviously, it's not really surprising that he need a new part of the car.
We'll keep an eye on it then throughout this weekend and before the F1
2 more laps included this one, Max.
Verstappen there just being told as well to change over as that annoying fly. It moved. It's getting on my nerves in the commentary box as well, as it's constantly flying around because of the light. That's there as well. Oh, it's trying now to actually go on and physical attack me. Yeah, it's a shame we haven't got the com cam up because if we put it on, it doesn't work. But there's Lance Stroll then getting ready to head back out. Lance Stroll, by the way, who recorded his best ever Red Bull Ring result in the 2020 Styrian Grand Prix. He was 7th overall, and from his 7 appearances here, he scored on 2 of their outings, 10th in 2017 with Williams and 8th in 2021 for Red Bull as well, the Styrian Grand Prix last year. And I think Ted's going down to the pit shortly. We'll hear from him. Why was the fly? I thought I heard my cat meow. No, it was me moving back. Oh, there's the fly. It's on my chair now.
How many more laps?
Honestly,
once you finish this, it's going to be 7 to go.
Oh, yeah, this fly is getting so annoying, and it's nearly dead. It's literally just, it's a big one. It's like a bee, but a fly. So it's one of those ones that can eat your stuff. And it really is getting in the way. So, it's flying out the back of the commentary box door. Thanks for small mercies. Right, 22% lag. It's being fixed, I'm being told, in my earphones. So hopefully shortly we'll be able to get back up to the commentary box camera. We know what's causing it. Google Chrome is being an idiot. It won't seem to work. But we need to restart the computer. And we can't restart the computer while we're on air. And Megan's laptop isn't here to sort it. So radio comms it is with none of us on Comcam. Which is a disappointment. Latifi just going around the back half of the circuit as well at the moment as well, with Schumacher just alongside. But the times as it stands, with Max Verstappen fastest at 1:08.966.
Box this lap for front wing. We're going to do up four, a big step.
Sainz is second, Leclerc third, Gasly fourth, Norris fifth, Albon sixth, Russell seventh, Ricciardo eighth, Perez ninth, Tsunoda rounding out the top 10. Further down, Latifi, Schumacher, Bottas, Magnussen, Zhou, Vettel, Stroll, the last complete time. Alonso, Ocon and Hamilton still to set times in this session as well. We know what's causing it. There's so many cookies that are opening on Google Chrome and we can't block them. They just won't block for some reason. So, since coming to you as well, McLaren yesterday had a shocker in practice, but today they look actually quite competitive. Are you expecting good things from them in the race?
I mean, this is obviously a track where you can do a lot of overtakes. It's a really good track for overtaking, but you still need to have the pace, and they didn't really look to have the pace in qualifying for sure, but hopefully they'll have race pace. That's obviously more important. The points are given.
Targeting 16, maybe a couple of laps of warm up on the medium to just take it easy and bring them in, and then you can push.
The points are given today and tomorrow, of course, but today is going to be very difficult for them to get into the points. But this is basically the new qualifying, so they can try to get back up to the grid and hopefully get a good starting position for the race tomorrow.
It's looking mighty exciting, as well as we're just being told that they're trying their best behind the scenes to get it all sorted, but there is something affecting it behind the scenes, which isn't great news. So we'll keep an eye out to see if it does get fixed, and well done for everyone behind the scenes who is... has Gasly got the helmet cam?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, I'm incredibly jealous if he has got the helmet cam.
What's going on with the engine? We think it's the Mode X strategy, and if you want, we can box and pass through for traffic.
So that was Leclerc on the radio saying to box to pass through traffic, and Leclerc has got Gasly just ahead of him, I think, and Ricciardo behind him, so he's still going to be circulating. SHT says Aston Martin were like tractors in qualifying, but their race pace is better. This is not good for them when they want to have a chance to score points if they continue to qualify bad. And Alonso with a broken floor yesterday since Q1 managed to get into Q3. He did. And looking quite important as well as they come back through. What are you witnessing out there, Synth, on your screens?
We're just looking at the event right now and on board which, oh yeah, we can see it now. This is the team radar. We just...
What's going on with the engine? We think it's the Mode X strategy, and if you want, we can box and pass through for traffic.
So that is what we heard. Sights on the radio there now.
Cool down the tires to see how they restart.
Negative. There's a good slot for traffic there, where you are.
Copy.
Yeah. But if that's true, by the way, from Aston Martin, if they've got good race pace and are not really good in qualifying, then they should be really happy with this new sprint. With the sprint race, because then they can get a better qualifying position for tomorrow's race.
I hope the F1 sprint's going to be easier later on. Right, we're going to attempt it by pressing button 2. We're not in a red flag, we are in green flag conditions, and let's hope that the boffins have managed to work it. Looks okay to me. Looks like it's not lagging that much, so I'm going to gingerly stand up and move around. Okay, right, let's get back in the action with practice 2, and we're going to throw it down to Ted.
Wakey Alpine, there's a practice session on, chaps.
Is the coffee not on down there this
morning? Coffee not on? You missed the bus, you overslept, you run out of fuel, need some tyres, lads. No, it's all part of the plan.
Okay.
Joking aside, Esteban Ocon and Fernando are Team Radio.
Russell.
The overtake button is not working.
But we haven't seen the overtake press at 1. You can try it again.
I pressed it about 4 times, and then it started to work.
Looked like it worked this time around.
Negative, I pressed it many times before it started to work.
That sounds like me trying to call in on my radio mic, but I've been muted for some reason.
Sounds a bit like Max with his DRS, wasn't it? Was it in Spain where he was like, I've pressed it 1,000 times. Try pressing it once, Max. Just once. Sorry,
I'm on George's side. I believe George.
Yeah,
he pressed it. Those pesky electronics. Right. Alpine believe, Fernando and Esteban have been up since Chaffinch's call this morning. Certainly, if they're very active this morning. So the team just don't want to send them out because I believe they don't feel as much they can do. If you can't change the car, and they feel like they've got their tyre information that they've already got this weekend, then what's the point in going out? Which, of course, raises the question, well, what do the 9 other teams know that they don't? I think within the next 5 minutes, we will see Alonso on track. He's never one not to want to be driving a Formula 1 car when the opportunity presents itself. But there's nothing wrong with the cars. All the drivers are ready, all the mechanics are ready, all the tyres are ready, all the fuel's ready, everything is fine.
Well, let's go then.
They just don't want to go out.
Okay, thanks, Ted. Carlos Sainz up at the hill at Remus as well. Just locking up the inside front and running it wide. And Synthal, can I ask, we mentioned it yesterday when you popped in on the F2 chat stream, sorry, FP1 chat screen. Is there anybody left in the Netherlands right now? Because to me, they're all here. I'll just see a sea of orange all the way around.
Yeah, there's a lot of Dutch fans there, of course, in Austria. Like always, not too far away. We wanted to go as well, but just didn't really work out, unfortunately. And then we wanted to go to Spa, also didn't really work out, so unfortunately this year we don't look like we're going to a race. Very maybe Monza, but doubt it.
Monza would be a fun one. I haven't even got my accreditation yet for the British Grand Prix for MotoGP. Sadly, looks like I'm not going to get it at this rate. I've got the deadline's next week. All the paperwork was sent off, and I haven't done anything at the moment, so I might not even go to that. Otmar Safnauer is on the Alpine pit wall talking with Rachel Brooks. It's all go this session. Nothing's working. Well, it's working fine for a 3, and then everything dies in between. Typical internet. Otmar Safnauer with Rachel.
What's happening this morning?
So we'll do a little running in the latter half of free practice too. I always forget which free practice it is now.
You're not alone. You're not alone.
in FP2, but you know, there's a lot to learn about the tires from others doing the running, and it's always good to save a bit of mileage.
And Otmar, you're saying you're not running until a little bit later. Are you doing that because you're waiting for the other cars to put down a little bit more rubber, which will be more towards what we're seeing the race itself?
Well, there is that it'll be a little bit more representative, and you know, the temperature's a little bit like it was yesterday, and saving mileage and also learning from the others. They're putting in some good laps, so we'll do some learning from the others.
Otmar, looking at the grid for later on today, and the performances yesterday has seemed to have made a bit of a step forward, but in terms of the battle, do you think you're 4th or 5th quickest right now?
Well, you know, we're optimistic. We think we're 4th quickest, and you know, yesterday we had good qualifying, but it is all about the race, including the sprint race. So let's see what we can do when we're out there racing.
And any chance this afternoon that you might try something a little bit different with the sprint in terms of your tyres or your strategy? Is it worth it for you guys?
No, nothing different.
Yeah, Otmar, one question I've got. Are you going to be more competitive in this sprint race, or do you feel you're going to be more competitive in the longer race tomorrow?
Well, we're taking them one at a time, and as you know, the sprint race determines our starting position for the main race. So we've got to do a good job in the sprint race, and this year we've got the added benefit of scoring some points too. So we're now focusing on the sprint race, and when we know our starting position, we'll then move our focus onto the main race.
Great. Otmar, thank you very much for the time being.
Otmar Safnauer there as Leclerc's gone off the track and continued down at turn 3. I am delighted to tell you that we are now at 4.8%. The marvellous boffins behind the scene, my producers, have done amazingly to get it sorted. I fixed the internet on my side because they got disconnected from the power situations as well. They've been reconnected and they have brought down the lag to 4.7% as well. Beautiful. Well done, everyone, to come through as well behind the scenes. But alongside me in the box still, if you're just joining us, is Josh Plays and Synthal as well. And we're still up and running then for this second practice session. Sainz having a bit of a moment too. And since we saw in the Formula 3 race, loads of people just locking out going wide, the track temperature, 32 degrees today, it's also cloudy out there as well. So it is different conditions compared to yesterday.
Yeah, and is it me or is Ferrari just struggling? We've seen around 3 replays so far of people going up, and they're all Ferrari so far. We saw Sainz locking up in turn 3, Leclerc going wide in turn 3, now Sainz again locking up in turn 1. Are they struggling with, maybe they're probably doing some race simulation, something right now, which are long runs. So could it be an issue for them?
Could be. It's entirely possible. I hope so. That it's a Ferrari issue, because I think it gives Mercedes a chance to catch up, and then Red Bull to try and dominate as well, but I doubt they will, as round the outside Leclerc passes Verstappen, and that's turn 3, where back in 2019 we all remember what happened at that corner as well, as Megan's right, having the fan on in the commentary box really does make you yawn every now and then as come through. But yeah, back in 2019, Verstappen went up the inside, forced Leclerc off the track, and Leclerc said that's not cricket to come through. And this is Max Verstappen, won the Imola sprint from pole position. He got 8 points from that and starts in pole position today. Verstappen has a 34-point advantage over Sergio Perez. Leclerc has 43 back as well, so Leclerc needs to win the sprint race today, with Max not scoring any points inside the top 8. Unlikely for that to happen, but 24 laps, round about half an hour race as well. It's going to be fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm really sure that Leclerc is going to try something crazy. He has to be aggressive, because if he wants to have a chance at the championship, being back into the battle, he has to be aggressive now, because he doesn't want the gap to become too much, to get impossible to get back into the fight. So I'm sure this is a track where you can overtake, and I'm sure he's going to try it as soon as possible.
Being told that we weren't connecting to the FOM servers. That's why we were lagging, because it was constantly recycling itself to try and log into the FOM servers. So that is why we were lagging with the data as well, and also the team radios on our side. That's why they've been so apparent as well. So that's interesting. I think Josh is lining something up technical-wise as well, as Hamilton sort of lucky he's not taking part in practice too, but since he's going to go straight into the race, and then the sprint race with no data on the car. They've got 32 more minutes, but it's difficult now as, bungee jumping as well. Someone get David Croft on that.
I'd never do that.
No, I never would. Josh, would you do that?
No, but I would like to see Crofty on that.
To be fair, I think I would. I'd be terrified, but I would. I've always wanted to know what it feels like to fall. I always have. I mean, I got close a few weeks ago when we were at a soft play area, and they have one of those death slides where it's just like a straight drop and then it curves out towards the bottom. That felt like falling, but to actually fall would be an interesting thing. As Alonso goes fourth, 109.487. Josh Plays has got some technical delegates to talk to us about. So over to you, Josh.
So George Russell has got a new gearbox case and cassette and a new gearbox driveline, but no penalties. And if I just go on here, something about Lewis Hamilton's car, about Mercedes submitting the duly completed scrutineering declaration form for car 44 Hamilton after a survival cell change.
Interesting call around then as they come through. As I'm being told now on the YouTube, the stream's bitrate is less than the recommended bitrate. We recommend that you use a bit stream bitrate of there. Well, we've increased it a little bit, but we just got to take it slow to come back. So apologies if we look less than HD quality at the moment. We're just inching it back until the computer can get a full restart in around about half an hour. So new gearbox then, cover for Russell, but no new gearbox, did you say, Josh?
New gearbox driveline.
Right, so that's not the whole system replaced as well. That's good for Russell to get away with it. And since Mercedes, are they in trouble after that double crash? Are we now thinking this is going to be a big deal come the sprint?
Could be. Maybe I'm surprised that that's just little damage for George Russell on the gearbox, even in pretty hard rearwards, but it's okay for him. But yeah, it's really weird because they both crashed at the same time. There must be some sort of gust of wind somewhere there, and maybe these Mercedes cars are a bit too sensitive towards that. So that could be a bit of a trouble in the race if there will be some wind as well. But yeah, they could be in trouble. Let's hope they'll fix everything and not miss anything which caused them to retire in the race as well due to some kind of issue they forgot to fix after the crash.
Ted's got some news for us down in the pits. Let's see what it is. Ted.
Well, I didn't get home any quicker, so I didn't get an advantage. I love that analogy.
Yeah, that was good. That was the perfect
That
one.
analogy is courtesy of JD, the cameraman. Yeah,
Is
he
it?
came up with he came up with that one. It's like I was speeding at 90 on a motorway, but you know, my average speed, I didn't get home any quicker. So well done, JD. Credit to him for that.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Thanks, Ted, for the moment.
Presumably that's about Mercedes changing over things as well. So we're now running at 5,000 kbps actually at the moment on the YouTube stream. So we are about halfway back to being at full quality. It is holding at 3.3, so I think we should be okay to hold it at 5,000. Sergio Perez, as we mentioned earlier, starting 13th on the grid today for the sprint, following all his lap times being deleted in qualifying 2 and qualifying 3. Arguably, that should have meant that Pierre Gasly went up the order, but they've kept it out. And the stewards very late on calling it as well, as Perez now goes 5th on a 109.421. Is Perez been saved by the sprint here? as well by the fact that he can now start higher up the grid than he normally would have for the main race tomorrow.
Definitely. Yeah, I think for sure he's pretty lucky with this. Obviously, last time, not last time, but in Silverstone last year, he definitely wasn't because he spun right there, and because of that, he had to start from the back of the grid for the main race. But this time, I'm sure he is able to, try to re-overtake some people and get higher up for the main race. And I'm sure he'll do so anyway because he got a great car, and that's for sure. So yeah, he's definitely saved by the sprint race, and yeah, he had just a kind of traumatic qualifying. He wasn't there all qualifying, to be honest.
And he wasn't. Let's hear from Russell quickly.
Copy.
Yeah, could that be the wind?
Could
again?
Be. Yeah, well, 1.8 meters per second, 49% wind blowing up through the north as well. So yeah, it could be the wind causing the problem for George.
See, the Mercedes are just too sensitive to the wind or something, because they both crashed at the same time in qualifying around the same time. But could it be just because those Mercedes were really sensitive to the wind or anything?
Well, I was going to say we're back up and running normally, but then a little spike came back through and changed it because it was running at skipped frames due to encoding lag. It dropped it down to 0.0, and then a big spike put it up to 8, but now it's running at 2.8%, now 3.6, so we'll leave it fluctuating a little bit. It's better than nothing at the moment, but I can't turn it up any higher, otherwise it will lose. How strong is the wind? Are they racing in the English Channel? No. We are in Spielberg, Austria, at the top of the Spielberg Mountains as well, and the wind speed round here is quite good. We're in the middle of a valley as well, and it is a long track here in terms of wind speeds. And I'll tell you one thing, I'm seeing SHT in the chat here saying about some crazy moments here. Alonso and Raikkonen's crash in 2015, Rosberg and Hamilton on the last lap of 2016, Kvyat torpedoing Alonso in 2017, Hamilton spun Albon in 2020. Well, remember, how about the two Mercedes DNFing in 2018 as well, and Verstappen taking the victory there. That was a crazy race. And 2019 as well, Leclerc versus Verstappen. And not even that. 1997, the first race on this version of the Österreich ring, which then it was called the A1 ring before the Red Bull ring. Schumacher hit who was it? Alesi, and Alesi went flying up on the air and nearly landed on Michael's head, causing the first instance for a halo to be needed. And that was one of the first case points they looked at as well. I'm thinking 1999 or 1998, one of the years. Coulthard spinning round Mika Hakkinen at turn 3 at Remus, and Lewis Hamilton was 10th.
Tell me when you've got this on screen, and see how many mechanics you can count.
Ooh,
how many are under the car? I can count 3 under the car. I can count 8 on the right-hand side as we look at it, and 5 on the other side, left-hand side as we look at it. It's like one of those competitions in the newspaper. How many mechanics does it take to get a car ready? I think there are 12 or 15, between 12 or 15 mechanics working furiously on this car of Lewis Hamilton. Have you totted it up yet, Rach?
Well, I've got to about 15 as well, but I might not have seen them all. So
yeah, there's probably one around about the exhaust
look, there's a guy at the back.
Yeah,
there's a guy at the back.
Yeah, you haven't seen. Spot the mechanic.
Does it look like it's the final sort of...
it's not ready yet.
It doesn't
they're not ready yet.
They're not just...
They're not ready.
No.
But the floor's gone on, so the floor's always...
I would give it another, not before 5 minutes, but when you've got mechanic times 15 and they're all very speedily trying to do it, then these cars do come together quite quickly. I'll just clarify a point we made earlier. This is a new chassis. It's new. Lewis Hamilton hasn't driven this car this weekend, of course, on this circuit, but he has driven it before. It is a chassis that he has raced before, so Mercedes tell me. So I don't know whether he gets into it and says, oh, what am I driving now? Is it A for Alfie or B for Bertie? Oh, hello, I know you, old friend. Chassis. I did this Grand Prix with you. Or did you used to do that, Johnny? Or whether he just gets in and thinks, oh yeah, it feels exactly the same as all the other ones. But for what it's worth, he has driven it before. Did you keep a tab, Johnny, on which chassis it was? 1, 2 or 3, or A, B and C?
Yes, I
you?
did. Because there was always a
Was
favourite.
there always a favourite?
Always a favourite. I always remember doing one, actually, when Mika Hakkinen got stopped for speeding going into Silverstone in 92, I think it was. And I had to do the warm-up in his car and my car. I got in my car, did my warm-up, felt okay. Got in his car with a little cushion, because Mika's a little bit taller than me. I went 2 tenths quicker than I did in my car. I was mightily miffed. so I took note of that number.
And Ted, we've had plenty of conversations with drivers where they've said, oh, the car doesn't feel right, the car doesn't feel right, and then the chassis gets changed by the team, and suddenly everything's amazing. So.
Well, Johnny Herbert is living proof that isn't just in their minds, and that there can be, and indeed sometimes often are, differences between chassis. But yeah, maybe what was that in the Lotuses?
That was in the Lotuses.
Well, maybe
Lotus,
with all respect to that car of that day in the early 90s, Johnny. Maybe they're made to slightly finer tolerances now, the chassis.
Oh, they are. That's for sure. That's for sure.
I said that as delicately as I can, with all great respect to Lotus at the time.
Lotus
I'm
March,
impressed,
wasn't
Ted.
it?
I'm impressed. I counted 16 in the end, actually.
Oh, good.
16. I could be wrong.
Good.
But I got to 16 at the same time. Charles Leclerc was getting to the top of the leaderboard, top of the timing sheets, I should say.
Oh, yes. Leclerc on a 108.660 goes top. Bottas jumps to 8th, though. And since we're talking about Ferrari having problems, is that extinguished any doubt you've had, or is that a lucky shot because Verstappen hasn't done a time yet on the softs?
Maybe. I mean, they're on the softs now. It looked like they were struggling early on in this session as they both locked up a few times, but they could be quick still, but maybe it's a little bit difficult on the braking as Sainz has gone up to 4th now. So yeah, look at Alpine, by the way.
Alpine, look at that 3rd for Ocon, 5th for Alonso. They are massively around the clock now as well. Delighted to tell you, we are now at 0.3% lag, which means we are back up and running. So
Hamilton's
we're keeping
got his helmet on.
Oh yeah, Josh is right. Look, Hamilton has got a helmet on, so Lewis seems like he's ready to go. Albon jumps 11th, 109.740 as they go for a break. So Synthal can probably see more than us at these points in time. As well as they're out there on the track at the current moment. In fact, we'll go, while they're on a break, we'll switch over to Battle Cam, our favourite screen of practice too, everybody.
It's surprisingly busy on track. It's surprisingly active. They're trying long runs, and for that you obviously need to be on track a lot. So yeah, there's a lot of cars on track, and they're staying out. So that's good to see. Right now, I think there are 17 cars on the circuit with Lewis in the pits, of course, and Stroll and Gasly are in the pits as well.
Vettel's just come out, so make that 18 out there on the track as well, because Stroll and Hamilton only 2 in the pits as well. So that's a lot of cars out there with no red flag either, with 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, we haven't seen really lots of spins or crashes so far. Just the 2 Mercedes in Q3, both at around the same time, which is really surprising, because before that we haven't really seen that much, as Alonso got to 3rd.
Oh. Don't tell Megan that this is at his pace.
As Verstappen improved as well, he's now a little closer to Leclerc. Hamilton is in the car.
We need to reset this straight. Let's go to straight 7. Because we put stability with the flap.
Yeah.
That was Sonoda's radio. Over to you.
Lewis Hamilton is in the car.
Lewis is in the car.
Yeah, there's no front wing. I think they've got some sort of side pods. Oh, the front wing is coming on now, so I think they're preparing for Lewis Hamilton to get back on track. But still 20 minutes to go.
19 cars out on track.
Here's the next.
19.
Here's the next.
Stroll out out as well.
Stroll left the pit lane then. No, I haven't seen that one. Yeah, there we go. 19. So it's only Hamilton who is in the pit lane at the moment as well, with 19 minutes 22 seconds to go.
Pit stop for a flap adjust. Should be a bit more free air.
Yeah, F1 TV is a long way behind, so for me Stroll's still in the pits. But yeah, he'll be out. Yeah, now he's out as well. And Lewis Hamilton is definitely preparing at Mercedes. They're definitely preparing to get him out on track. The front wing is just come on. So well, we might see 20 cars on track anytime soon. Still 20 minutes to go, so they'll have time.
Perfect amount of time, and Lewis definitely needs some running. Did 20 laps in qualifying yesterday before taking into the wall, as well as I've really got to talk now, because for some reason the adverts on Sky, the volume seems to increase. It's like it doubles. So the usual positioning of the speakers is fine for the session, but it's terrible for the adverts. So thankfully that's not going to happen after this free practice 2 session, because we'll be into the sprint race and then the main race itself, and it will be all live ad-free as well for RTV Pictures.
Good job, Carlos. Start lap time 9.3 using DRS.
Yep, Sainz has gone top on a 108.610, and that was his last lap time as well. So Sainz goes provisionally fastest in practice 2, and usually we say these sessions are a bit boring on a sprint weekend, but there's a lot of action today, and like you said, Synthal, in the Formula 3 race an hour ago, they are all doing long runs.
Yeah, absolutely, all staying out on the mediums or on the soft tires, no hards. No one's on the hard tires, so we might not see that in a strategy today. Definitely not today, but tomorrow, maybe. Could they go for a 2-stop? You don't often see it anymore this year.
And especially not at the Red Bull Ring either, but I hope there's a 2-stop strategy, because that was fun. Silverstone was a 2-stopper, but only because of a late safety car. Josh, any news coming through on socials on your end of race control? I know it's we're trying to fish for storylines at the moment, but it's all really eyes on Hamilton.
Right, maybe overheating through 6, so you can manage more through 6 to help in 7 if you need.
Go on.
Not really. Just having a look. Sainz and Leclerc separated by 0.05 of a second.
Ho ho ho! Is it me, or are we going to see some great racing from the Ferraris? Mattia Bonotto this morning in the team's press conference for the team principals said that the 2 Ferrari drivers, they are now free to race. There will be no more team orders.
Wow.
Number 1, do we believe that? Number 2,
yes.
Is Max Verstappen now the world champion? Synth, to you first.
Yes, I think they are free to race, and I think it really looked like Silverstone was just some sort of turning point, just something just really changed, because I feel like they were all so much more aggressive and there was so much more racing, and also between the 2 Ferraris there was a bit more going on in there as well, and definitely a bit of maybe they can some sort of team rivalry going on again in Ferrari, because they were definitely battling pretty hard in Silverstone, so we might see that as well. And this looks like a really sort of turning point, but we see a lot more racing in the top as well.
Josh, your thoughts on Ferrari being free to race for the rest of the year?
He's going to produce some great racing, I think.
Are we in for a little bit of a Austria 2002 moment coming up, where, because that was said, actually, Barrichello signed a new contract coming into that race. Ross Brawn and Jean Todt said they are now free to race. It's a level playing field. There's no number 1 and number 2 driver. And then we get to the last corner, and it's Jean Todt on the radio doing exactly what he did in 2001, saying, Rubens, let Michael past for the championship. And Barrichello moves over right to the line. Schumacher goes through. If Ferrari are leading 1-2 on Sunday, would Sainz pull over for Leclerc for the title?
No.
I don't think so.
Definitely not.
Because there's not that much between them. Just 9 points separating Leclerc and Sainz. And
absolutely.
Yeah, the top 4 are still in this hunt for the title. Verstappen, Perez, Leclerc, Sainz. So I don't think he would. What do you think, Josh, on your opinion? Would he move over and then in through like he did at Silverstone to begin with?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
We're all going to, if that happens on Sunday, we're all going to have egg on our face. And we might need to repent and say a couple of Hail Marys as well, because it could be entirely possible that Sainz is ordered on Sunday with some team orders. But this is also a track where Ferraris come together. Sainz as well was a catalyst back in 2020 in the first race, where Leclerc and Vettel nearly made contact with each other. And then the week later, Vettel and Leclerc did hit each other in the Styrian Grand Prix, and lo and behold, 45 minutes they've had to set up this car, and they've done it. Mercedes with a brilliant job, and they have got through, and Lewis Hamilton, Synthal, is leaving the pit lane.
Yes, so everyone out on track now, because Tsunoda also exited pit. Finally for Lewis, so now he's going to test the car. He's got a completely new chassis, or he got the spare chassis he's got on the car right now, so he's definitely going to have to test that one out and hope it's all working. But about this, so I feel like this race is going to be some sort of crazy race for the championship as well. This one they could be remembered for a while for the season. Could be. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Ferraris are battling it out, and then maybe Leclerc or something locks up and even maybe hits Verstappen or something. I don't know what could happen this race.
Oh, that's even more exciting if they do make contact to come into this battle. Here we go then. Where is he going to go? Where's Lewis going to go? Prediction then, everybody. I'll come to you first, Josh. Where do you think Lewis is going to put it in this practice 2 session?
In the wall again.
What about you, Synthal?
It's the softs. I'm going to say behind Russell, P9.
P9, fair point. I think I'll put it in the wall again. He's not had good luck here, to be fair, at this circuit. Lewis Hamilton, he's crashed 3 times now in qualifying at this circuit since it returned in 2014. He did it in 2014, he did it in 2016, and he did it yesterday as well in 2022. So Lewis does spend a lot of time crashing at this circuit as... all that dry skin I just took off my arm as well through there. First sector looking good for Lewis Hamilton, though. It is a 17.270, so closing in a little bit as he heads down to Sochi's Gold. Synthal, take us through the second half.
Yeah, so it's going to turn 4 now. Yes, on soft compound tower. I think Russell's on the hards, isn't he? He's the only one on the hards right now. Not sure where he set his fastest lap on, so heading towards here, close to the track limits here. There are track limits. Here, are they? It's really weird because I feel like we've seen so many cars crossing the white line here and not being punished for that. Only Perez, free qualifying, but I feel like we have seen it more often. Here, turn 9, turn 10, especially turn 9, we've seen many cars going off. Oh, and turn 10, of course, as well. I think it was pretty close there as well. It's gone up to 9th.
Synthal, can I have the lottery numbers? Bang on what you called P9. Exactly what it was. Track limits here, by the way. It is the white line defining it, but they're taking an extra notice of turn 10 during qualifying sprint of the race. Ted
through this
is in the pits.
turn 3 and see which line he takes. We stay with it. No, we come away. So Ted, what have you got for us?
Fuel on, hasn't he, Rach? I would suggest.
He has, yeah, I would agree.
I would suggest, Johnny, what do you think? He's got, say, enough fuel for 25 laps, 24 laps?
I would think
what is
so.
the sprint
yes,
race?
That sounds
24.
about 24.
But plus formation laps.
If I were him, I'd want to go out and feel what the car is going to be like at the start of the sprint race, see what he can do, see where he is with the chassis. Right, so we watched Lando Norris. A little line on the Haas drivers, because, correct me if I'm wrong, they qualified 7th and 8th, but with Checo's penalty, they're starting 6th and 7th. Which is great stuff. So that will put them with some points. Of course, just to remind you, points down to 8th. For the sprint race later today, and it's points that Haas could really do with. They are just concentrating on a bit of higher fuel running at the moment. Mick Schumacher looks like, to me, it's session over. We have got a camera down here, so it looks like the head head restraint is coming off. And he's already out of the car. So. I don't know what exactly has happened, or whether they think they've done all their tyre running and learning for the session, or if it's just a comfort break. By what it looks like they're doing to the rear of the car, I think that might be it for Mick Schumacher. I'll get that line on anyway. But in any case, I think they're expecting and hoping for just a clean sprint race. I think they can keep their positions sort of. They're aware that Checo Perez will much faster car will be making his way back through. And of course Lewis Hamilton. But if they can come away with 1 point, I think Haas, from the sprint race this afternoon, then they'll consider that pretty good going.
Cheers, Ted. As we come back in, Lando Norris making his return to the pit lane. Oh,
the car.
Mick's getting back in the car.
If you're still on our shot down here in the boxes, so it looks like it was a comfort break, and he rather awkwardly has to balance on the halo. Hook that leg over. There you go, Mick, you're in. So, we'll see how the effect of scoring points last time round works for him this weekend.
Synthal, you were watching the British Grand Prix. We had Josh obviously in the box as well for that one. But what was your opinion on the battle between Verstappen and Schumacher, of course? I'm interested to get your take, actually. Was Max a bit too aggressive, forcing Schumacher off the track? And the last corner especially, where they actually touched when Mick would have actually got ahead, would have moved similar to Hamilton's. What was your take on that little battle at the end of the British Grand Prix?
It was a nice battle, but I don't think Verstappen really wanted to let him pass or even battle with him. But yeah, everything was fair. What Verstappen did, of course, it was really close. He really was ready to give it all, or really to risk it all, even for some reason. But yeah, you know Verstappen, he always does. So, and the final corner, I do think Mick knew that he couldn't make that 6, so he backed out of it. Really good job from him, because otherwise there would have been a big crash. So luckily he was aware of that. So yeah, it was another pretty nice battle, and maybe we'll see that in the future as well. If Schumacher get up to a better team, I wonder if that could ever happen to Ferrari.
Oh, I think it could. I really think it could happen. I think Mick would be at Ferrari, 2024, 2025, somewhere around there as well. As soon as Carlos Sainz or Charles Leclerc move on, I think Leclerc, if he can't win the title next season, would move away from Ferrari and go somewhere else. I really do think that, because it seems a bit fractured, the relationship at the moment, and this season especially. Leclerc wants to go for the title, and Ferrari they just look like a bunch of clowns, to be fair. On their strategy, it's not working well at all.
Yeah, absolutely. We see Leclerc now on the long runs, he's actually closing the DRS. But yeah, can you see him move to something like Red Bull?
Alongside Verstappen, because Verstappen's got a contract until 2028, so...
Yeah, could be. I mean, it's obviously not like Verstappen. Verstappen would probably never go to Mercedes, and Hamilton would never go to Red Bull. I would never see that happen. But Leclerc is someone whom, why wouldn't he go to Red Bull if it's a better team, if it would fit him better?
It could do. Josh, you say thing. Oh, he's wide. It's down to actually. It was Leclerc. Go on, Josh.
Verstappen at Mercedes and Hamilton at Red Bull for one race would be such a meme. It would be absolutely great.
I really don't think Hamilton would ever go to Red Bull, just because of the toxic nature that is Helmut Marko and Christian Horner. They are toxic beyond belief, especially towards Hamilton. I don't think it would ever work. Then again, we said the same about Alonso going back to McLaren with Ron Dennis, and that happened. But yeah, Leclerc, all 4 wheels off the track at turn 9 with a nasty snap of oversteer. Here's on the radio.
Yeah, I think I did quite a big mistake. I think I was on the onboard, so you probably saw it.
Oh dear. He's so calm at the radio these days, Charlie. He was only angry at Silverstone, but yeah, I think actually that could work. Leclerc Red Bull would be an interesting strategy, because Christian would see it as that he's got Ferrari's biggest weapon for himself, and him Leclerc alongside Verstappen is a very tasty pairing. I think it's about as strong as Webber and Vettel was. That's tasty.
Sainz would be fun as well at Red Bull, but I don't see him ever getting back to the Red Bull Academy, to be honest.
No, I think Sainz is going to finish at Ferrari, to be fair. I
don't see Verstappen ever leaving Red Bull to go to another team. Never.
Oh, Ted, updating
things. This morning from the team principals about the flexi floors discussion.
Yes, the flexi floors
in Formula One at the moment. So if you don't know what we're talking about, there's been a little loophole in the rules exposed by an FIA technical directive, which is going to be tightened up for the Belgian Grand Prix after the summer break, by saying that if anyone had some floors which were a little bit flexible, more than the FIA thought that they'd made clear, but the team said, well, hang on, you didn't make that clear, and by the time of the Belgian Grand Prix, you're going to have to firm up these things, and you're going to not be allowed any of those titanium skid blocks to be worn down as much as some people have been doing. What we got from Mattia Binotto was an acceptance that they will have to change their floor for the Belgian Grand Prix. So Ferrari are one of the ones being affected by this technical directive. Toto Wolff said that Mercedes will not have to change their floor for the new technical directive in the Belgian Grand Prix. We haven't asked... Well, you asked Christian Horner yesterday, didn't you?
I did.
And we didn't get an answer from him as to whether he will have to change his floor. But well, we'll see if we can
but
get
he
that.
said there's nothing wrong with theirs. He's not worried.
Well, nothing wrong is the operative word, because as Binotto said, it was their interpretation of the rule that that led them down this path. And to be absolutely clear, the Red Bull now, the Ferrari now, every car now is legal, right? Because they've been having their results and they've been scrutinized. So there's nothing illegal about the cars now. It is a technical directive that's clearing up an existing rule. Now that rule was where Christian Horner's right in what he said to you yesterday, Rachel, is that rule was intended originally to address the porpoising, which was Mercedes' problem. It is, but then what it discovered was that people were doing these things that allowed their floor to be a little bit soft and allow some movement in it, so that when those cars ran low to the ground, and that was good for performance, it allowed them to run a bit of rake, so they didn't wear away their floor, and it allowed them not to have any of the smashing against the track, the bouncing that have affected cars like that Mercedes on track. So, you know, Christian's right when he says that there's nothing wrong with their floor. It's legal. It is, clearly.
Yes.
But what we don't know from Red Bull is whether they will have to change their floor for the Belgian Grand Prix. But that was the line from Binotto this morning.
Yes, so I'll just clarify.
Oh dear.
Understood.
That said, just like there is a little.
Yeah, did you see it, Synth?
Yeah, definitely.
Just
runs flying off.
There.
Oh.
Bit of the floor winglet. Sorry, back to Taylor Mitchell.
Which is right. I mean, there's nothing wrong. Doesn't mean that they won't have to change it for the Belgian Grand Prix. But yeah, the other thing, of course, was how much has this been a factor in Red Bull and Ferraris and whoever else's competitiveness? And I did ask that Toto Wolff. I said, look, just so our viewers understand, and by the way, you can see these quotes on our social media channels. I said, you know, how much should we say? Is this a game changer? And he said, no, it's not a game changer. It's just a tightening up of the rules that might cost some people a tenth or two, or maybe at most 0.3 of a second per lap. But I guess, you know, that's enough, isn't it, to make a difference? But we'll find out at Spa.
Okay, so that's the Flexi floor update then. And Synthal, I said yesterday as well on the Grid Network, it reminds me a lot of the double diffuser back in 2009. To my opinion, Red Bull and Ferrari have done absolutely nothing wrong. They've found a clever loophole in the rule. They've got a great car setup, and practically Mercedes did that in 2014. It's up to the other teams now to close the gap up. The FIA don't need to step in and make these changes to try and help out the other teams that have got it wrong. It's not sporting. It's not sporting, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you. It's really strange if they would, because they just did a really good job understanding the regulations and pushing it to the limit, and they obviously did nothing wrong. So why would they change the regulations to make it wrong?
Great,
right?
Yeah, go on, Seth.
But yeah, that's it would be stupid, to be honest, because they did a really good job just finding out how to improve their car to the max.
Gwenwyn says, let's wait and see. Hopefully the other constructors step up to the plate, and hopefully new ones come in firing as well. And that's, of course, with the Andretti Autosport due to come in 2024 as a main constructor as well. Cars are coming into the pit lane, but I'm surprised because I think they're going to be hogging around the inside, because this is the checkered flag coming out in 3 seconds' time, and they are all going round because they're coming to do a practice start on the grid. But they've got to take the checkered flag before doing a practice start. Alonso, Gasly take it, so does Verstappen, and now they've got to go up, do another lap, and then do the practice start. They got that wrong a little bit.
Everyone's on track, so I think we'll see a practice start with all 20 cars.
Fantastic. This is going to be a little nod to what's happening.
I saw everyone exit the pits with like 20 seconds to go, and we saw everyone getting out of the pits. So now every 20 cars on track, and we'll see a practice start for everyone.
Yeah, Max Verstappen has won 4 of the last 6 races here at the Red Bull Ring. In addition to his 4 wins of the track, he's finished on the podium a further 2 times. So with second place in 2016 and third in 2020, Styrian Grand Prix. Verstappen, this is Verstappen's circuit. He's had retirements in 2017 and the opener in 2020, the season opener in Austria 2020, when he retired on that 14. So many times he's failed to finish a race here as well. Let's see how he does in the second F1 sprint race, which is coming up. 3 o'clock, we are on air. We'll show you everything that happened in qualifying, and then at 5 minutes to the sprint race start, we will be on air live. We're at the end of the pre-show. It'll all be in the same program, so pre-recorded pre-show, live race, off air, ready for the big show tomorrow. Tomorrow's, by the way, tomorrow's race build-up, it's scheduled for an hour, but stand by, it could well be an hour and a half build-up to the race, because because Martin's got a grid walk and the national anthem as well. So Martin's grid walk is at half past the hour. So we've got a half-hour qualifying show and a half-hour sprint race. So it could well be that it ends up being a 90-minute build-up to the race, which is almost sky level of coverage as well. Let's take a look then at the practice starts. You're right, Synthal taking it out there. It looks quite tasty at the moment, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So everybody's got to prepare for their start later on today. Quite crazy, obviously, on a Saturday.
I think Josh was saying something, but we can't hear him because your mic's not turned on, Josh, if you're talking to us just then, unless he's talking to others. Oh, he's shaking his head. He was talking to us as he comes through. As well. It's always difficult when having a cam on for Josh as well, because he's so busy behind the scenes. He's doing all the race controls on the Discord, he's doing all the timing screens noting as well, and looking at all the technical things. He starts talking and you don't know if it's talking to you or not as well. I often said you should hold up a piece of paper just so I know your attention. On board with Leclerc then, Sid, talk us to the practice start.
Yeah, so we can't see the lights, of course. You're not sure which light is using. Around little less than halfway to the throttle and getting on very quickly. Can't do that on the F122 game. You need a lot less amount of throttle input because otherwise you'll spin around. So not that realistic. Oh, he's nearly missed the corner. Actually got a bit deep into turn 1, but yeah, that's his practice start. Let's hope we're going to see a good sprint race later on. We haven't really seen that spectacular sprint races just yet, right? Because we've seen Imola was quite interesting with the change of the lead in the penultimate lap of the race. But obviously, for example, we've seen a few lap 1 safety cars, but never like midway through the race we've seen a safety car.
It's involving Alonso driving unnecessarily slowly, no further action. So that's a bit of a weird one. Josh, prediction for the sprint race. Who's going to take the pole position and the 8 points?
Ferrari are looking strong, but Red Bull are also looking strong at their home circuit. Red Bull knows this circuit inside out, and Hamilton knows the walls of this circuit inside out.
Synthal, same question to you. What's going to happen?
I think this could be a very unpredictable one, but if it would be predictable, I think Verstappen would take it.
Thanks, guys. Let's take a look then at the results then from practice 2. Carlos Sainz tops the session on a 108.610. Charles Leclerc is second. Max Verstappen finishes third. Fernando Alonso fourth. Esteban Ocon fifth. Sergio Perez sixth. George Russell 7th, 8th for Valtteri Bottas, 9th for Lewis Hamilton, and 10th for Lando Norris. Drop further down, Lance Stroll 11th, Pierre Gasly's 12th, Sebastian Vettel 13th, Zhou Guanyu 14th, Mick Schumacher 15th, Alexander Albon goes to 16th place, Danny Ricciardo 17th, Kevin Magnussen 18th, Yuki Tsunoda 19th, and Nicholas Latifi rounds out in 20th position. Okay. Thanks to everyone for sticking with us through some very difficult internet troubles at the start of the session. That's all solved now, as you can see. We'll be back up and running. 3 o'clock then. Let's give you the times just quickly. I'll give us a second, gentlemen. Coming through. For the F1 racing, you can join us. The F1 sprint is underway at 3 p.m. British summer time as well. Lights out is at 3:30. The Grand Prix live tomorrow. It's scheduled for 1 o'clock, but we might be starting half an hour early. We'll update you on that in the morning as well on the YouTube channel and at Joshua Burch 99 on Instagram and Twitter to keep that up as well. Grand Prix review follows straight away though. 4 o'clock, straight after the finish of the race, we will be live for the review. And if that is not it, for F3 and F2, F2 sprint race follows the F1 sprint. They're underway at, 4:40. We are underway for that one. Lights out is at 4:55, and the F3 feature tomorrow morning 7:30. Lights out at 7:35. And F2 feature at 9 o'clock, lights out at 9:05. All those times are British summer times as well. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Thanks, Synthal. See you later on. Josh, to you in the F1 sprint as well. A lot of action then from FP2. It was busy. Everyone doing around about 40-odd laps. Not bad at all. Tomorrow, though, it's the Grand Prix. Later on, though, it's to decide the grid for that Grand Prix. The F1 sprint. It comes up next. Thanks for your company, guys. Thanks for your company all at home. We'll see you later on. Bye for now.